This the whole time. Okay, cool. So, hello. How you doing, Marcus?
Oh, great, Graham.
Post-holidays here?
Post-holidays, yes.
Yep. I got everything I wanted. You? I know, right? Over 30 or
what did I get?
I don't know.
I don't.
Socks, underwear?
I got some stuff.
Yeah.
I'll probably get in trouble because I always forget what I got.
Yeah.
I forget what happens 10 minutes ago. I got, my sister sent me some coffee.
Good stuff?
And some mead.
Oh, nice. I like mead.
I'd never had it.
Oh, no?
No.
Have you had any now?
I had all of it.
All of it?
Yeah.
It's
It
pretty
was
good,
one bottle. It was good. Really sweet.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, that's pretty sweet. And she said, oh, really? That's one of the more bitter ones. Bunratty, I think it was called. And I said, well, it's about my limit of sweet. So normally I drink like Campari and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm all with the bitter.
Gotcha.
So I got that. And then the wife bought me some Snap-on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I needed a new half-inch wrench, ratcheting wrench. And I think this thing is like $200-something.
Sure,
I mean, she spent some coin. And a caliper spreader.
Oh, nice.
Right? Like I've gone my whole automotive quote-unquote career.
You're just using C-clamps and stuff?
Using, channel locks and, just put the brake pad in there and squeeze it. Well, now, I'm getting more stuff that has like nice calipers. And you don't want to put a wrench on like endless calipers or like TLX Brembos or anything. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I really should have a legit caliper spreader. So got Snap-on one of those, ratcheting. It's pretty sweet.
Cool.
And so that was good. And we were supposed to travel.
Right.
And we didn't because the winter weather just had a foreboding.
We had some legit snow here in Oregon, Washington area. Not in our specific location. It wasn't crazy, but up in the hills, it got pretty wild.
I like it here because it snows most years, but it's never there more than a week.
No, and it's usually functional amounts. It's like if you have a decent car, you can certainly get around in it.
But you totally get a day or two off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like nobody drives when it's like 3 inches of snow.
No, you could, but it's just the traffic is such a nightmare and nobody wants to go out.
Why do it?
Yeah.
The roads aren't set up for it. They don't put any shit on the roads, which again makes it good used car climate people like the Northwest is where the great classic cars are at that aren't in California. But and all those have been gobbled up now.
Yeah,
so like
crap.
and even actually up here it's getting hard to find cars too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was like we ended up staying at home, which was kind of a bummer because we missed seeing my brother-in-law and my family. But we still had our, traditional Christmas Eve meal, and we had hung out with the neighbors on Christmas Day.
Cool.
We had a good time. So that was my Christmas. It was really nice.
Good.
And it definitely took a big window of time not taking work very seriously.
Yeah, I got to kind of just unwind for a minute.
Yeah, probably should have put up the post-Black Friday blog by then, but I still haven't.
Oh, well.
So, folks, you'll have heard that one previous to this one, and it came out after the New Year. So.
And you guys know how it goes. It's the holidays, It's like everybody's taking a chill pill for a minute.
So how was your holiday?
Oh, it was uneventful. It was nothing special one way or another. I worked on my Fiesta a ton. That was the highlight. Getting close. I'm getting real close.
Yeah.
No major snags so far, but I should really shut up about that because it's still not currently running.
I don't know. It sounds like you've gotten a few snags already, resolved.
I had a couple with the body work and stuff where I was like, oh shit, the bumper beam doesn't actually go on the car because it's a salvage title, so it was like a little off kilter. Yeah, just some brute force on that, bent it out.
Shit.
And I put the bumper beam back on. But I did discover when I was going to put in the core support, I was like, wait a minute. I have to put all of like the radiator and condenser back in the core support and then attach it to the beam?
Really?
So I was like, it's really much easier if I just attach the core support to the beam. So I took the beam off again, put the core support on it, and then just kind of nestled the whole thing in there. And that was quite a fiasco.
You really did not anticipate that level of...
I mean, I expected the unexpected because I was like, I'm in uncharted waters here. So I was sort of like, anything's on the table, really. I was just glad. That the core support is a plastic piece that bolts onto the bumper.
Man, I would have been annoyed as hell. Like, what the fuck? And then you can't sell it right then. So that's the kind of thing where I get in trouble with a car. Because if it's not going, I don't expect things to go as planned.
No, yeah.
But I do expect not to have specialized training and, you know, like, you know, a chassis straightener or, you know, a line bore or something like that. If I'm doing an engine job, you know, I'm getting in. Yeah, I don't know. That would annoy me.
Well, thankfully, my only specialty tool was a very long piece of steel that I crammed into the frame, and then I put my body weight on it. And went,
I guess I could have done that. I would have done that.
Yeah. And it very incrementally improved.
Wow.
So,
well, those have got to be fun.
Yeah.
That's got to be a fun car.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm super stoked. Should make about 300 horsepower at the wheels. And should be
How much does that car weigh?
2,700 pounds.
So we can race.
Yeah, we could.
What do I choose to race you?
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see your CRX when it's done. You'd probably
I would love to see that too. Yeah. That one's supposed to have 300 horsepower, 2,000 pounds. So no contest problem. If I can get grip. Well, actually, you're front-wheel drive too, so you know, neither one has grip. That would be a comedy of error.
It'd be fun though. Yeah, it'd be fun to watch.
So it segues into what this week's topic was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Which was you're supposed to talk me out of buying another car.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to a few friends about this car already.
Okay, tell me.
And nobody's been successful.
All right. I'm pretty analytical, but I also love cars, so.
Right.
I'm curious.
Well.
Is it a classic?
It's a 87.
Okay. Yeah.
Civic.
That's a classic. I'm sorry, we're old enough that's a
87 classic. Civic hatchback, which by the time you hear this, I'll either have it or have passed on it.
Yeah.
But so far, it looks like it's going to get bought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because my wife gets annoyed by this, like the buying of cars, because she's not yet on board with the idea that us buying cars is not like average people buying cars, right? A lot of people will have, each person has a car in the household.
Yeah.
And then maybe somebody's got a toy car. And then maybe success happens, and then maybe they'll get another fun car or some other car after, or a utilitarian vehicle.
With a lot of families that I've seen, it's like the wife is always like, you can have one fun car. If you have this car, then you sell it before you get the next one or something like that, you know?
I mean, then that makes sense. That makes sense for most people who have, let's just call it a 2-car garage, maybe a 3-car garage. You know, you got to have a car that you drive every day. You got to have, and that's for every single person in America, probably, right? Not everybody, but you know,
most metro areas,
right?
Yeah.
Listen, like in my mind, owning a car is required, right? That's there's none of this living in the city, and I don't even need a car. Like no, I moved to this area and built the house that I built so that I could have the giant garage, so that I could put all my cars somewhere. Yeah. Now, when I moved here, almost none of the cars could fit in the garage. Because of so much Heeltoe stuff.
Yeah.
Now I've moved the Heeltoe stuff out to the shop, and I have more room for cars. And right now there's 4 cars in there, and 1 car space is taken up by exercise equipment. Awesome. And let's see, did I say 4 cars? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 inside there. Now I have a lift on the 1 spot, so on occasion I'll keep a car underneath another car.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that because
there's always the chance something weird would happen.
You know, I am not worried about that. No, I'm really not. Yes, that's a chance.
It's a consideration.
That's why we have insurance. I put chains up and something could happen. But it's really not going anywhere.
Probably
right?
not.
You could leave a car on jack stands for 6 months. This is really no different. The only thing that's different about it is the consequences if something goes wrong. But the risk is the same.
Sure.
Right? Fundamentally. Now, I had planned on putting a 4-post lift in the back of the garage so that I could put another car above another car, but for storage purposes.
Okay.
So this was sort of my plan, right? Now I've got 4 cars in the garage, 3 cars parked outside, plus Aiello's car on the side of the house, and now I'm talking about getting another car. And this is after I already bought 2 other parts CRX cars.
Here at the shop.
Yeah, one of them is at Common Fibers for fender work, like fabrication, because we're retooling the fenders. And the other one is here mostly so that I could have parts to make the other one go.
Yeah, because this has the EFI system in it, right?
This one has the fuel injection.
Yeah.
The chassis is very good on this black car that I have out here.
Mm-hmm.
It might even be better than the other one. But I don't think I'm going to be able to register it. It'll probably end up being a car that, I don't know. It would be a shame to get rid of the chassis. Right now, I just really wanted it for the powertrain and then the bits to make the blue car run.
Sure.
Why did I want the blue car? And why did I want it running? The blue car, the little HF, it's an 86 HF. I got that car because, again, I needed a car to test body panels on. And it's got pretty low miles on it. And it's in really good shape. Overall, like, it's in really good shape. I mean, it's a not forgotten about barn find. So they were legitimately trying to do something with this car, and it was in the barn situation for maybe a year, maybe. So it's not dilapidated.
Yeah, it's still pretty current then.
There's no rodents in it, right? The body panels are all straight. The interior's in really good shape. The only thing that's wrong with it is they tried doing a head job on it and stripped one of the bolts in the block.
That's a bummer.
It's a bummer. Yeah. It's a totally recoverable thing. Yeah. I almost have a mind just to try to fix it and get it back running the way that it is without modifying it at all. But where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
I wanted to have one of these cars that was drivable, and I think that sounds so fucking stupid because I've got the supercar version in my garage that I need to
nice
fix.
Ones, yeah.
I have the black one.
Yeah.
It's the same car, right? But it's not running. But that's not a move some shit around and get it going.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it kind of is, but that's the car that needs to be running.
Yeah.
Right? Out of all these other things, right? But I've kind of slid off into, when I buy a car, most of the time I'm buying parts that happen to be put together.
Yeah. It's just as like a donor. Yeah.
They're all donors.
Yeah.
Right? But beyond that, it's like there's got to be a purpose to have all that.
Sure.
So the TLX, I bought that because I want to make parts for that car. I want to make parts. We bought it. I drove it around for the 60 days that I couldn't take possession of it.
Right, yeah.
And then we had it for a month, and now it's been 3 months, and I haven't seen it. It's been gone for like 90 days.
For body panel work or what?
Well, it's at getting exhaust done.
Gotcha.
So that we can produce exhaust. I mean, I could take it anywhere and have an exhaust made, but we're trying to build something that we can actually sell the shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and then Tane has had it to develop springs on it.
Okay.
People want these things, right? So I'm paying a car payment on a car that I don't get to drive so that we can make stuff, pay these guys to do development, so that I can have a part to sell, so that my company has some level of a future, like beyond what I'm already doing.
It's definitely a labor of love. Yeah.
I didn't get the car so that I could have a TLX Type S.
Yes, I get that.
And I have a half a mind once I get it back to putt around with it for a while and just sell it.
Yeah. Well, it's still in great shape. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll keep it. I don't know. If we get successful and have money, like more successful, then I'll just keep it.
Yeah, you could, or just, I mean, if you decide to sell it, get an Integra, and then use that as your platform.
So, right.
Because you're going.
Well, no, I'm going to have to get another car, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I think it makes sense on the Integra thing to wait for a Type S model to come out.
I agree there.
I'll be missing the boat on certain things, but other people will be on that car like flies on stink.
Yes.
And already I can feel like the only reason to get one is to make people a believer in it.
Yeah.
So I'm not even focused on Integra right now. Right now I got this Civic in front of me.
Yeah. So back to the Civic. Tell me more about the actual.
So I wanted to have one of these cars so that I could have one that drives around, and then do some more work with my torsion bar suspension stuff.
Okay.
Right? We did some video before, BCs versus Medieval Pro Tanes. I did one on how to reindex the torsion bars.
Yeah.
Right? Those videos were good. We've learned a lot in the meantime. about how to capture and put these things together. I want to do an even better one.
Gotcha.
But I want to do one where I actually put these parts in the car and then drive it.
And be like, here's what it feels like.
Right.
It changed.
Because the first video was just comparing the parts on the bench. And the second video, I mean, the first one was a two-parter. The second one, the car was on the lift. And I theoretically could say, oh, here's all the stuff that you do, right? But the car wasn't even 100% together when I took a camera to it. Having an ability to get the car that has the suspension in it that a lot of people are already using, put suspension A in, show how that goes, put suspension B in, show how that goes, and give some actual feedback after driving it, I feel like people would really like to see that.
Yeah.
But I need a car that drives.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
I haven't gotten any of these. The blue car has been gone for 4 months. I took it to Washington in I think it was August last year. I haven't had it.
And you don't have any idea when it'll come back, right?
Well, I probably will get it back next month. But how am I going to get the car running if I don't have it?
True.
It's doing important work making body panels for people. You know? This black car out here, maybe even closer to running than that one is. But I don't know. It's not running, and I kind of it's hard enough just to get together and do a video. That was something else I wanted to talk to you about, videos, maybe after this. But anyway, this car...
So it's an 87 Civic, not a CRX?
It's a Civic.
Okay.
Now, I've never had a torsion bar Civic.
Okay.
I've had 8
Is it the
CRXs.
It's the same kind of system?
It's the same car, but a Civic.
So
you know how the
parts are
CRXs, it's
interchangeable?
the same platform,
Yeah.
but a different body.
But so all the suspension stuff
Oh,
is
yeah.
interchangeable?
It's all exactly the same stuff.
Okay.
But I've never got to play with an actual Civic. I don't know exactly how they're different.
Yeah.
I've done all CRX stuff forever. Plus, having a Civic gives me the opportunity to say, oh, well, let's do fenders for this car, because people have been asking.
Yeah.
It's got a Mugen wing on it in the back. I can make a replica of that.
Yeah, that's
cool. People would like that. It's got a bunch of stuff on it. And I know the guy who put it together, right? He's a local Honda tuner guy, right? And he had the car for a long time, sold it to another local person, and now that person's selling it.
Gotcha.
And
so he gave you a heads up?
No, it was on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
It's $10,000.
Yeah.
It's got, a B20 VTEC, a fully built B20 VTEC, 11-to-1 compression.
So it's not even close to a project then, really.
It's a project that's done.
Yeah.
The only thing that it doesn't have is my dope suspension stuff.
Got you. Okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty enticing.
So I was talking to him just now, and he's explaining to me this car, and I'm like, this thing sounds extreme. It's a real hot rod. It's a real Honda hot rod.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. I guess, I don't know. You seem to have a business plan for what you're going to do with it. In terms of the long term, do you picture keeping it?
I don't buy anything anymore with the idea of getting rid of it.
Okay.
Everything I buy, I assume I'm going to have.
So it's more of a collector's mindset to you then, for the most part.
Yeah, from a personal standpoint, it's definitely a collector thing. I mean, it's black. A black 86, 87 SI Civic is getting extremely hard to find.
I can imagine.
In any condition.
Yeah.
There's another one up in the Washington, Seattle area that's got almost 500,000 miles on it.
Wow.
It looks fairly clean in pictures. It needs a little help, but it's standard car. It's not been modified. Totally buyable car, possibly, but I can't get the guy to send me any pictures of it. So I told him I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah.
And that probably took him to mean that I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
It was snowy. It was covered in snow.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I got on this, and I have to tell, Elise can only get so pissed at me about this, because she said, she's scrolling through Facebook, what kind of Civic were you looking for? And I said, an 86, 87 Black SI.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, don't go on the Facebook group for the first and third gens. And I said, okay, all right.
Oh,
I'm going straight there now.
I definitely won't do that.
And I saw it, and then I messaged him, and I thought, this car's maybe, I don't know, $3,000, maybe. It's probably not worth that in today's actual money. Like, in the money from the last 5 years, it's probably not really worth $3,000 or $4,000, but that's probably what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
To get a totally buyable good one, 100-something thousand miles, doesn't need any work necessarily. Maybe needs a little mild restoration, but doesn't really need any work. That's a $5,000 or $6,000 car now.
Yeah.
Easily.
And with this one being really decked out, well built, and everything, you think
what he has on this car in parts is probably more than what the car is being asked for.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean,
and of course, I'm trying to get him down. I'm not wanting to spend 10.
Yeah, of course.
And it's got wheels I'm not interested in. It's got seats I don't care about.
You can get all that stuff and make it your own.
Well, I already have extra wheels and seats and steering wheels. I don't really need, I'll just show up with another seat, another set of wheels. We'll swap them out.
Bolt it in and drive on.
Yeah, totally. So I got a number I tossed at him. We'll see if it works. But the whole point to talking me out of it is, there's that question, like, do you need another car?
Well, I think you need to take the word need out of there. Do you want and can you swing? I think those to me, because we were talking the other day about superchargers and about can you afford the turbo kit or whatever, and if you're concerned about affording it, you shouldn't even do it. You're not at all concerned about affording it, so it's not really like a need or not. It's like a want, a matter of value. Is it worth taking up the space in your garage, or the space in your brain, or the space in your day to do the things that you want to do with this car? And that's a question that's more personal. Once again, it always boils down to the person who's buying it. It's like, do you have the capacity, or will it take you away from something else that you would rather be doing, or would maybe have higher value for you to do? And and that's where I run into problems, and this kind of dovetails into the YouTube thing. Yeah.
Right? 100% of buying that car, I guess there is no 100%. Because if it was just 100% greedy, I would just want to buy this thing, that means it's full disposable income going into it. It's a car that has no purpose other than just for my personal enjoyment as a collector. It's another Hot Wheels car, but I'm just playing in real life.
Yeah.
A great chunk of this car, to buy this car, would be just because I want it.
Yeah.
And not because I really need it, but it's just kind of one of those things where now I'm at this place where it's like, that car seems really super cool. I'm really super into cars, and I think it's cool, and I want to have it. Even if it's only for a little while. Even if I'm not even going to drive it. It's not about driving it, right? And it's not even really about collecting it either. I think it's just about experiencing it. It's the same thing as the NSX.
Just to have been like, I tried that.
Well,
yeah,
experiencing, owning the NSX has been really cool.
Yeah.
Much cooler than the actual car.
I'm sure, yeah.
Feeling what the mid-engine car feels like, the googly eyes that everybody gets over it, just the fun things you get to, the random places you get to just putz around in an NSX and show up and buy a thing or whatever.
I saw you the other day. You didn't see me, but I was in a turning lane on 185th, and I heard your car first. I heard the and you were turning in front of me off of the freeway down 185th, and I was like, "Oh, what is that? Oh, it's Marcus and his NSX." And it makes a great sound.
That must have been me going to Best Buy to pick up a thing.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
but it makes a great noise. It turns heads. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
You don't see them. It's cool.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
And I enjoy having it. I like shopping for parts for it. I like being part of the community.
Yeah.
I like learning the little quirks about it. Fundamentally, to me, the NSX is no different than an overgrown CRX.
Sure.
Because it gets a lot of similar reactions. It's not the same reaction in terms of the actual reaction. It's like, wow, I used to have one of those, or wow, look at that thing. Oh my God, this thing is clean. Or oh, you don't see that every day. Yeah. Well, this black Civic maybe doesn't necessarily carry the same cachet that a CRX or an NSX does at all. But This thing's a bona fide hot rod.
Yeah.
It's got a big block in it.
Yeah,
a 2-liter VTEC. And the amount of work that's gone into creating this car is quite a lot. And it is not the kind of car that you would get in and go on a cruise.
No, probably not.
No, you go in and screw around with this car. Take it to the track and just see what it does, and you know, impress some people. You know, this is not the kind of car. Maybe you could drive it to a track day, but it's definitely not a. It's probably more of a selfish purchase than any of the other ones have been. But I can't not have it in my mind. Let's do suspension in videos. Sure. Let's do a drag test, or see how fast it is compared to whatever other car. But that's where I start running into issues of like producing the content, gathering the content, turning it into something viable. It's hard enough for me to get out and do a thing on a car. And then ratcheting that up with video. Because I think that all of this stuff is watchable content.
Yeah, I mean, I think you, and I've said this before, you own an awful lot of cool stuff, and I'm sure that people would be happy to just hear it, go for a drive with you in it, whatever, any of your cars, because you have a bunch of really pretty rare and great condition cars with some cool parts on them, and it's like, those are neat experiences. But I also know that there's only so many hours in a day, and you're a really busy guy, and you do a lot of things.
To really, I think, get people interested and tantalized with this, I need to have a regularity balance. Basically, it needs to be the job. This YouTube thing, being a YouTuber, is a legit small business in itself.
It is.
It's a lot of freaking work. And those people that earn all of those cajillions of dollars, they freaking deserve it.
And you made an observation in one of our earlier episodes where you were like, the guys in Fitment Industries and all these other channels, they're talking heads, they're hired help, because the managers...
It could be. Well, you said they were. I didn't really think of that way.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are kind of like spokespeople for the companies.
Like the guy doesn't turn off the camera and then turn around and go pick up a phone and start helping folks.
Exactly, and he's not shipping stuff, and he's not worrying about part numbers. And
you know what, and this is actually true because another channel that's pretty popular is the Throttle channel. Yeah. And I know Mickey, on an acquaintance level. I think I ran into him. He gave me the old, he bought a part from you at one point. And I thought that was pretty funny because Heeltoe's been around longer than Throttle has. The fast line shifter he was interested in. Always interested in a fast line shifter, and I thought that was super cool. And now, I didn't even really know who he was. Well, now I know who he is. Right? But ran into him at SEMA. And we had a good long talk. And, he gave me his perspective on Heeltoe, what we are. And, I mean, I'm looking at him. They've got a half a dozen guys there that all work there.
Yep.
Now, we just got a Tim.
Yeah, I know.
We had 3 teenagers in here, basically. And they were comprised about 1.75 actual employees. Because teenagers, as great as they are, really aren't worth the $14 an hour. I'm going to be honest with you.
How do I? Can you come show me again?
Tim is a little bit more autopilot.
He
needs hand holding too because wants to do things right. But
he'll get it and then he'll do it, and that's not.
He understands the follow through of what all this work is doing.
Yeah, it's the intern versus the employee.
Exactly. I had 3 basically interns, and one of them they converted to employees, but it was still like a challenge, right? Because they didn't have experience, right?
I'm sure it took a while to cultivate,
Well, I don't have 6 people.
No.
I mean, all Mickey does is jerk around with the cars and be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
He's not operating the camera.
Nope.
And then when he's done, that's what he does.
Yeah, he goes, all right, I'll see you next
Yeah, peace out, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, he works and supports the shop.
Yeah.
And supports the parts thing, but that's not what he does.
No.
A whole other person administers the website.
Yep.
builds the technology and the website, manages the to and fro. Man, I've been spending the last 3 days trying to get my inventory system,
your back end,
and my accounting system, and the shop processes in alignment.
Yeah.
Right? And I am intrigued and interested and want to know how all this works because of my own personal curiosities and my passion being running this business. But if I'm jerking around with 2 different support systems, like people in 2 different support areas through tickets, and then the download from that is I've got a week's worth of data entry to do or whatever the case may be. That's in addition to, we've had a busy couple of days. I walked into the shop on Monday and there were 60 orders.
I'll bet, yeah.
Now, for a lot of shops, 60 orders may not be that many. But for me, it's freaking a pretty good chunk of orders.
Yeah.
You know, some shops will do, 30 or 40 orders in a day. Well, we do like, 20? 20. Maybe, if I'm busier, I'm doing 20.
Okay.
Right? Mickey was right. We're a boutique shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm not going to get the foot traffic. We're not, but we have personal time that we put into every one of the orders.
Oh, definitely.
We take it very seriously. I don't know how to not do that and instead say, I'm going to go screw around on YouTube.
Yeah.
See you guys later. I mean, I got to do that at my home shop. I got this thing I'm going to build. It's going to take me a couple of days. See y'all later.
Yeah.
When I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And that's with the I'm going to do all the work and the filming and everything myself. And then I'm going to give all that content to you and you're going to be like, you need to do some voiceovers. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't ever tell you that.
I worked hard on this.
I don't ever tell you that. But I'm like, dude, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm done with that video. Like, I got to go do something else.
Well,
so
I could do voiceover on it too.
No.
It'd be weird.
Don't take it personally. That's just, if I take the time out, that's what the end result is.
Oh, I get it.
And so, and that's already a big if. So if I got these aspirations for this car to make a video of this or whatever, I want to document the timing belt job in the NSX.
Yeah.
I don't probably need to do that. And I think somebody else has probably already done that.
Probably.
But I kind of want to like show what that goes like from my perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to do that over the winter. I haven't even ordered any parts yet.
Yeah.
I've got so many parts. So I guess
you're a busy guy.
you've said that.
Yeah, you are.
And I say I don't even like saying that. But the legit is I could be busy doing lots of different things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I end up being busy doing things that don't favor me going out and buying cars with the delusions that it's going to turn my YouTube channel
and just
into another level up.
Yeah.
Right?
Because, I mean, you've got a lot of potential, in terms of what people want to see, but you just have very little opportunity. And that's the difficulty, is it's like your time does not present an enormous amount of opportunity, And
it all goes to getting more help.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Or, increasing, getting you over to film.
Yeah.
But then, there's a time and expense to that.
Sure.
And then, getting higher up in your editing queue. There's an expense to that. It all points to I need to sell more parts.
Sure.
So, well, how do I sell the more parts? And then when I sell the more parts, that means I'm even more busy here.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you have to come up with the work you want to do and the work you want to delegate, really, Like, what do you add the most value to?
Graham, I really like, there's no job around here that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
There's the only stuff I guess I don't really want to do is supporting other folks. Like if I get somebody on a task, I've already given it up, and I don't want it back
don't
again.
Don't make me second guess.
But it's like even at least like, she gets 10 things, and 2 of them boomerang back to me because she's not sure what to do. I got to support it, right? But that to me is like I already wrote off all that pirate. If somebody's back there building the CT intakes.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the book, here's the steps, here's how I do one. You got it? Yeah? Okay, good. Come back for a question? Great. Here's how I do that. Come back with another question? Yes. I ran into that too. You know, and then come back again with a question about the same first question that I asked. I'm like, look at, listen, you come to me, but please bring me something new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can't keep going around. You've asked me enough times where I just feel like doing it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and it's no cut on the person. It's just like, I relinquished that job. I don't want to see it again.
I get that. I mean, I'm like that with editing. It's like I've hired editors to work on things before, and it's just like, man, you didn't listen, you know, or you didn't follow the steps, or you just didn't execute it the right way, and you've ended up saving me the tiniest bit of time, and then cost me a full worth of my wage. You know, like I've transferred that income I was going to make editing it onto you, more or less.
Yeah.
And you haven't saved me that amount.
Yeah.
You've saved me an amount less.
I feel like when you are going to get people to help, and when you're in our position, right? Like I consider us both pretty well specialized in what we do.
Yeah.
Like we know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And we may not be perfect. We're learning all the time.
Sure.
But I'm going to execute on it with all of that knowledge experience that I've already had.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's nobody that's going to do my job better than me. Right?
And if they are, they're probably not going to work for you. They're going to be your competitor.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
That's what I find
know a lot of
all
my
the time.
competitors, and I'm not sure that they're as good as me. But, you know, good, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to do more than I need to do?
Yeah.
You know, I like having the reputation. I like having, you know, the people have positive things to say about us. So I think about that when I'm packing a box.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you're like, we're doing good work, right?
So the next person that I train to do it may not have, well, like these young folks that I had no freaking clue.
Nah.
I was teaching them how to package parts to ship them, and we were having some hang-ups. And I said, guys, haven't you ever received something shipped to you? Like,
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Not
Like,
really.
what the fuck?
Yeah, like maybe an
like,
iPhone or something.
No, like
yeah.
you never got
Nothing?
something shipped to you, like you ordered online. And I thought, well, you know, it's 18 years old, maybe they haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At least nothing that important.
Well, you know, I mean, maybe they haven't, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but
'cause car parts are a unique thing. It's like you
Well,
pack them
they
different.
kinda are.
You pack them different, you know?
you know, and ultimately I had to teach them,
Yeah.
like, at least you need to pack this in a way that it's not going to get fucked up.
Yeah, it's not going to arrive on the other end. In
See
pieces.
this sharp, pokey thing? We need to put all kinds of stuff around it so it doesn't
Puncture
penetrate the box.
yeah, and then just rip it open.
Yeah, and then they don't do you any favors, some of these manufacturers. They do you
No.
zero favors at all. And anyway, the best I could expect is that somebody would do 65 or 70% of the job that I would do. That's
Yeah.
a C.
Yeah.
If they can get a C passing grade, the thing doesn't arrive fucked up and the person doesn't complain,
Yeah.
that's fine by me,
That works.
right?
Yes.
You have to allow an A grade student has to allow somebody to do their homework that's gonna get a 73%.
Yeah.
They may dip into the low Bs, and that would be great.
Yeah.
You're not going to get an A grade student unless you really have a great person and you're paying them high.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
And if you're not paying them high, you're not going to retain them.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem paying people. It's not about that. It's more about also, if you get somebody on who's got that level of experience, you've got to work with them wanting to run the show. They're part of the show.
Yeah.
And that's another thing where it may not be in alignment with my ideas and vision, but you're always going to have to compromise somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard to... I've been working so hands in and hands on for so long.
Oh, yeah.
I know every little in and out. I know all the technical details of the parts that we're offering, or many of them. I know enough that I can sell. I know how to sell. I know how to talk to people. I know how to console people. I know how to be firm with people. Because some people in this industry will be total assholes to you.
Oh, yeah. They'll try and roll you over.
I had to put somebody in their place today because they were like, I'm going to tell everybody about how terrible this is because they stripped a nut. and they weren't getting the support. Okay, so the support probably could have been better. Fine, go ahead and tell everybody how negative experience was. But listen, you called me on a Sunday when we're not normally working. I do this kind of support. And he goes, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you on a Sunday. I'm like, no, you didn't bother me. My point is, there's almost zero other people in this industry that you could have called and or texted on a Sunday and gotten an answer within an hour. Like, there is basically zero.
That's the kind of thing where you read an Amazon review that's 3 stars and it says it showed up late. And you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Right. Like, it has nothing to do with the piece or the thing or whatever it is. It's like, showed up late. Like, well, go bitch at UPS or whatever. You know, you strip the nut, get a better torque wrench.
Whatever. The guy needs a new nut and is going through the, whatever. I shipped him a nut.
Did he bust a nut?
He busted, No, he stripped it. Yeah, he wore it out. So anyway, this wasn't intended to be a bitch fest about me not having time. Or it's just fucking, whining about, I'm going to buy a 10th car, and I don't really have anywhere to put it. I can't put it on YouTube. And But really, honestly, like, as an ambitious person, like, okay, I have the money to go buy this car, but... And no, I'm probably not going to drive it more than 1,500 miles a year, maybe, right?
That's my problem on a micro scale.
And I will, at some point, do a suspension job and make a video about it.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be the week after I get it.
No.
I'm going to get that car, and it's going to fucking sit. Right? That's exactly what's going to happen to it. And I'm just expecting that my wife is sort of on board with the fact that these cars are there because, little boys have little cars, big boys have big cars. And if I like little cars and I like a lot of them, and I like big cars, I'm still going to like a lot of them. So, like, it's like I need to have it as part of my being part of this planet.
I feel like your trajectory, this is my crystal ball, is I'm like, you need to start either A, a museum, B, a junkyard, or C, both. Because you are so invested in the history.
I thought about the junkyard thing
of Honda and Acura. That I'm like, I think about, there's this British specialty place out on, like, what is it, West Union or whatever, and it's like all ancient, 60s, 50s, 70s British cars, and it's just like shitloads of them, but they harvest the parts, they put them on eBay, and they are like a hub for the culture because they're one of the only people that has the specialty to know what anybody's even looking for. They have access to all this stuff, and I'm like, that's where I see you kind of fitting, because you were explaining this boutique thing.
Well, I was thinking about that because these torsion bar cars, there is not a ton of support.
Right.
And there was a guy who shall not be named, up in Seattle area, who was breaking down these cars. He was breaking them for parts. And he was, he was proud of some of those parts. And I don't really blame him, But even though we had a falling out, and he proved to be a horrible person, and people who know who I'm talking about will know exactly who I'm talking about.
They're nodding their heads right now.
Yeah, they're like, that guy, So I was still referring people to him for at least a year after our falling out.
Only guy, right?
Because it was like the place where you were going to find. And then he ended up quitting doing it. I don't know why. It's a lot of work. He's working out of his house. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, I understand.
And then, the kind of baloney that comes along with selling used parts. But here I'm thinking like, well, if I had the cars and I had the people calling me, then I would know what they were looking for. And then we could 3D print some things, or we could machine some things, or we could like reproduce some of these things, and you have that. But if I don't have the actual car, at least one good example, then I'm never going to be able to do anything like that.
Of course. I feel like ultimately, if you want to get the most out of these things, you do need to think about that 10-year kind of expansion, 20-year expansion. Because these are becoming more and more rare, and eventually they'll become virtually extinct.
Well, I mean, they're already to a point where like a really clean CRX will go for 10, 15, or more $1,000 on Bring a Trailer. And now, even with the Bring a Trailer tax included, that's still a lot of money for these cars.
Well, and the 90s cars are slipping into the same thing now. Where it's
they are,
you want a good even 2000s. I mean, if you want a good example of a 2002 WRX, You're going to pay some serious
Well,
cash
that
for
one just was on Bring a Trailer. I didn't
Yeah.
see what it sold for, but a low mileage blue
Yeah.
stock WRX
Yeah,
bug eye.
Yeah. Or a 2004 STI stock.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay some
So
money.
the cars are getting up in value, and I think it's really hard to have that mindset, that paradigm change. I mean, these are cars that I drove when I was in high school.
Yeah, and they were like cheap and affordable.
Yeah,
and
they
like,
were kind of junky back
simple.
then, but the thing is, a clean 86, 87 CRX or Civic Si has never been less than $3,000.
Yeah.
Ever.
No,
It's never been less than
They've
that.
been stationary, and now they've crept, and now they've leapt, because with the price of cars recently, it's like you take whatever that desirability tax was, and then you add the market,
Yeah.
and it's like, woo.
Yeah, because I can distinctly remember, I went through a number of these cars in my early 20s because I was irresponsible and crashed them all.
Yeah.
But I bought one for $3,500. I bought another one for like $3,800. They were much newer then. You know, they were only like 10, 15-year-old cars at that time. You know, 15-year-old car. But I mean, already body panels discontinued. Like there was a lot of stuff you could not buy for these cars, even back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I had my, you know, somewhat of a unicorn, that silver low miles one. I had gotten all the Mugen stuff for it. I had that car for like 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
Was that the one you had in a magazine?
It was in the magazine,
right, yeah.
Now I ended up selling that car and all the accoutrements with it for $10,000.
Yeah.
Now today, that car's running around. Junior Asperer has it. And it's all put together and cleaned and better restored. Because it wasn't really restored when I had it. It was pretty original.
Yeah.
You know, but it wasn't perfect, especially after I owned it. But I bet you that car would fetch $30,000 now on
that's
Bring
what
a
I
Trailer.
would've said.
Yeah. And I told him that I wanted right of first refusal if he ever decided to sell it.
Yeah.
And I had the number in mind, and now it's not that same number anymore.
Yeah, you're like, ugh. Like,
But bottom line is, then that's an extreme example. But I mean, did you see that? Do you watch Bring a Trailer at all?
not usually, no.
Okay, 16,000 mile, 2003 or 4 Excursion, 7.3, fully loaded, all black. I mean, max loaded.
Yeah.
But dumb low miles. Right? It sold for $100,000.
Holy moly. Wow.
So then next week, the next Excursion. Well, this one's got 95,000 miles and it's silver and it's not top of the line and it's 2,000. Yeah, it's still got, 40, 50,000.
Yeah.
And then, whoops, here's a red one. Like, people who,
like,
fall in the line.
I hadn't thought about selling mine.
I hadn't thought about it. Oh, this guy got $100,000. What could I get?
Fuck it. Let's
Well,
do
hey,
it.
you know what? Bring a Trailer's changed the used car industry.
Sure.
And a lot of it is these 80s and 90s and 2000s cars that have some desirability to them. Now, I'm not saying that I would turn around and sell any of my cars at all.
Yeah.
But
just for a quick buck.
What they've done is it's altered the paradigm of what is a classic car now. They're not just cars from the 60s anymore.
No.
They're not just cars from the 50s and the 60s.
No, moved up.
It doesn't have to be an obscure thing from pre-war era.
I was harping on this stuff when I was in high school, and my friends and I were all getting our first like cool cars and shit. My buddies were like, man, these cars are just made out of plastic. Nobody's going to want them. They're all fucking garbage. The 90s, nobody's going to look back at 90s, cars and think, oh, we should save all these. And I was like, no, they absolutely are. Because it's not about the car. It's about the memories. It's about the experience.
It is.
It's about the feeling. It
has to have...
It's nostalgia.
It has to have something... Well, in order for it not to be weird, though, like... the Shelby Daytona, like Chrysler cars, those are cool in a certain kind of way.
Niche way, yeah.
But there's like a guy in town that has like 3 or 4 of those Dodge Shelby trucks with the weird thingy on the back.
Right, yeah.
He's got like 3 or 4 of them rotting. Like...
That's like the Fiero guys. You drive by a house and you're like, that guy's got 7 Fieros.
Yeah.
Who knows why?
I don't know. So, but the thing is that some of these Japanese cars, or like these other cars that have, like the reason why the 7.3 Excursion is bitching is because of the 7.3 engine.
Yeah.
And that they made such a behemoth. If you remember when they brought those things out, it was like, how large are SUVs going to get?
Yeah. Battle tanks, yeah.
And now, like, an Expedition EL is really not much different in size, but it's not as impressive somehow as an Excursion is. And it's smaller.
It was because it was like the first time you've seen it.
It was the first time you've seen it, and you can get it with this romping diesel in it, and it's got the giant gas tank, and it's like you can do anything in comfort because it's an SUV. Yeah. The reason why these 80s Hondas have a cachet is because of all, general Hondas of the era. They're so much fun, they're so efficient, they're so reliable, and you could do so much with them.
They were Legos,
You could do so much with them, and then it never went away. Like, the aftermarket support has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's like the 240SX. It's like, this thing's a Lego. People just love it.
When are they going to stop having more to mess them up?
I know.
Well, the 240... is it totally different because, the rear-wheel drive thing, like the drift scene really took away. So some of these cars, like, it's hard to look at an 87 CRX or Civic and say, like, that car's worth $8,000 or $10,000.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the powertrain in this car, I couldn't build it for $5,000.
No way, yeah.
I couldn't do the swap if I could find the parts. A B20 block, sure. But, I mean, what are you going to pay for a B16 head, all fresh valve train, like all fresh?
Yeah.
Like, you could be in $1,000 after cams and cleaning and valves. And
there's the wiring and there's the harnesses.
This thing's been wired. It's got tuning. It's like legit put together.
Yeah.
And
turnkey.
Yeah. So the conversation was supposed to be, talk me out of buying this car, and you can't.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think for you it does make sense, but I think circling back around, the real long-term goal should be monitoring how you spend your time and making sure you have the time to enjoy and really use these things.
You at least told me, you got all these cars and they don't run. Well, the S2000 is down right now.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I got all the interior out of it because I was fixing it, right? And then that turned into can of worms. And then while it was apart, somebody needed a belt tensioner because they were going to homecoming.
So you took it out or something?
So I said, well, here, you can have the one out of this car. So I...
slowly parting it out.
Oh my God!
Like,
so,
I
bought the tensioner, and then like, all right, I forgot I need the tensioner bolt because it's got a hex head in it.
Yeah.
Which this is how I got on the Snap-on website asking for Snap-on for Christmas, because one of the other tools was an Allen or like a hex socket.
Yeah.
So I needed a new bolt. Oh, the bolt's on back order. Fuck. Well, okay, so I could put the interior back in, the bolt's on order, it will show up, I will get that car running. It's not going to be more than a Saturday.
Yeah.
But I need the parts, right? The TSX, it runs. It runs great.
Yeah.
I do need to do some maintenance to it, but I did the dash swap on it last year, and I think I ended up putting the 05 dash harness in my 04 car, and now you can't communicate to the computer. And because of that, you can't get the car passed through emissions, which means I can't register it, which means I can't drive it.
Yeah.
And I have to get under the dash and figure out what wiring was different between an 04 and an 05 and just fix it. And it probably would take me a little time to do that, but I just have to prioritize it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
The NSX. It's totally fine to drive that car around, but it does have an oil leak.
Yeah, you told me that.
It's not horrific, but it is leaking.
Yeah.
And it needs a timing belt, right? I was going to drop the engine, timing belt, valve adjustment, just fresh it, water pump, freshen the whole thing up. I was thinking about putting a new clutch in it too. I thought, all right, well, I ordered some gears from Japan, so it's like, okay, that car can be down. I don't need that car.
Yeah, it's not a commuter.
And when I get it back together, it'll be even more bitching than when I took it apart. I don't need that car to be running.
Yeah.
But right now, besides the Excursion, it's the only reliably go, start it up, drive it car that I have.
Yeah.
The CRX, I'm trying, right? I dabbed a little bit here and there with a little extra work here and there. I'm battling with it, right? It's taking a while.
I think that, at least for me, my girlfriend was immensely annoyed when I told her I was buying a Fiesta because I had an Evo that's barely working because of DEQ issues, emissions issues for people who don't live in Oregon. And I was like, rather than spend any money on that, I was like, I know, I'll circumvent the problem by getting a new fun car to distract myself and enjoy.
It's very mature of you to put it that way.
And it's like, it's what it is, Like, I bought it because I just was like, I just want something that is simple. Because I don't know what is wrong with the Evo. It's a similar kind of thing.
What happened?
What happened?
You got you got just as complicated of a car.
Yes, we can talk about that another time. The Evo is more of a mystery. I knew exactly what was wrong with the Fiesta when I bought it. I was this is effed up, this is effed up. And it was all stuff.
Well, I feel like it's surprising that you bought that car.
The Fiesta?
Well, if you knew that there was stuff that it needed.
It was $8,500. So I was like, fuck it. Why not? Like, the going rate on Fiestas right now is madness. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is a desirable car, yeah.
So,
I mean, in culty circles.
Yeah. Well, and, it's like, it's this really nice commuter balance where it's like, on the low side, it gets 25 miles per gallon. On the high side, like 35.
Wow.
And, it makes about 200 horsepower. It gets about 250 foot-pounds of torque. Real torquey, 1.6 liter.
Yeah.
A little hatchback. It's fun.
No, they look neat.
Yeah,
it's just like a Honda Fit Type R.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I always wished that the Fit had like a fun turbo drivetrain, but it's just like they were like, you can have color matched mirrors if you buy the Sport, and I'm like, why the hell do I care? Like, I don't give a shit.
That's very K-Swap.
I know, and I'd seen people do that.
I've heard that that's the funnest.
Yeah,
it's like a first or second gen Fit with a K24 in it.
I'll bet. I saw Kraftwerks made a Kraftwerks Rotrex charged Fit, and it was passing an M5 down a back straight, and I was like,
that must have been amazing.
Yes, it must have been. We've been talking for a while, so do we want to maybe wrap it up?
Well, we've unsuccessfully talked me out of not talking me out. Like, I'm gonna end up buying this car.
I'm sure you will.
I've thrown a number at him. I think he'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the process.
I talked to the guy who built it, and there's so much crap on this car that, like, I could part it out and make all that money back.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to do any of that. I could do this. I could do that. So back into the circle again.
Yeah.
But I think Elise is right. She was like, you need to have some management system that you keep in mind to work on all of these cars in turn, periodically, whatever. Like, I've got to have some means of having some progress happen somewhere.
Yeah.
And then at least
work on it, fix it, done.
Well, but maybe not do everything, because what happens is I tend to get into a project that has an end when I start.
I get that.
But they creep,
I mean, that's what I've been doing the whole time with the Fiesta. I was like, okay, it'll be like these 8 parts, maybe 9.
You 10. Can't not do some 12. Stuff when you see it.
Yeah, because you're already in there, right? I get it.
I want to, like...
I do get it.
So she's got a great point. I think she's given up on trying to stop these things from happening. And I'm hoping that she understands that these things, ultimately, it's not a waste of money necessarily. It could only benefit us on the good side. It could really benefit a lot. They're generally assets.
Yeah.
Most of these cars, they wouldn't sell for less. The TSX, a different story, but also that car is so far gone. Like, I would never sell that car. That's probably the car I would never sell.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
Yeah, it's I think the moral of the story today, everybody, is it's complicated loving cars.
Yeah.
Because it is.
It's complicated loving cars.
It really is. It's always a balance of your time and your energy and your emotions and your money, and it's exhausting. Sometimes it really is.
But, it's fun.
It is. It is fun. It's like you think about the few times you might take a car like that out and just really get to rip on it, and you think about how much fun that'll be and how much you'll laugh or smile about it, and it's like, that's hard to put a price on.
That's why I got rid of the motorcycle.
I get that.
Because people do that with motorcycles.
Some people,
But I would go out and drive my motorcycle and get bored.
Yeah, I could see
because I don't like that aloneness.
Getting bored or being a nervous wreck. I know people that have experienced both those things.
I get bored. And then I get lazy, and then it's dangerous. So I ended up just parting way. Yeah. If I do end up at the museum, I'll get more motorcycles. But I don't really need them now.
Get Hondas. There are some awesome old Honda bikes.
There are, but I like the Ducatis.
Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, for riding, I think I would choose that. But there's that old Honda Turbo bike. That is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And the VFR has
the VFRs,
VTEC on it, and like they had that crazy one that was an inline 6 from back in the day. It's just like the engine is like 3 feet wide. It's crazy.
Marcus's obscure Honda museum.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
Fair enough.
All right, we'll wrap it.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening to this ramble bramble. I'm sure that you can relate to any part of this.
Why don't you share your own stories too? I mean, is your partner nagging you about how many cars you have, or do you need help? Maybe we should do like a phone line.
How long has your project car been down?
Exactly.
Like,
did you buy another project car when your project car was down?
Yeah. Well, anyhow.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.